So season 2 of The Flash, it all started when a singularity happened and a breach opened up in the middle of the sky back at the season 1 finale of The Flash. So during season 2, at the beginning of season 2, we see this bit of the relevance of this big portal opening up in the sky and a singularity that causes a breach in between two worlds, at least, between that being Earth 1 and Earth 2 for the Flash in Central City. And as it opens up, the first scene of the Flash and everything like that all starts out with a parade that the Flash saved Central City. But also it came at a demise when Ronnie Raymond, who is Firestorm, or was Firestorm, also was spinning around real fast and helped Barry save the world along with Central City itself. And that episode wasn't a great episode. It started off pretty good, but I think that was probably like the worst episode of the season. The whole Flash parade and everything. I mean, it was a really nice element, but it really wasn't up to par with everything else. But throughout the whole season, every other episode was pretty damn good. But starting off from there, obviously we're going to encounter a lot more villains and a lot of everything else. And we see like the Flash going through, he meets even new allies. He goes through different complications, and he actually gets his ass kicked by the new villain we see come across as Zoom. Now Zoom, as in the comics, we know is the identity of Zoom is Hunter Zolomon, an escaped serial killer who also gets his powers from the particle accelerated explosion, and he becomes a serial killer based upon the fact that his dad like brutally murdered his mom and stuff like that, but that was an actual fact of what happened. So Zoom starts to hate Barry Allen. Zoom's main mission is to gain full-on speed, and as the Flash, Barry Allen, keeps getting speed and keeps getting faster and better, he's gaining more. So obviously the main point of this is Zoom wants to be the fastest speedster alive, but to do that he's going to need Barry's speed. Now Hunter Zolomon isn't known as Hunter Zolomon to begin with. He starts off as Jay Garrick, but this becomes a problem when Jay Garrick isn't really Jay Garrick, and it's actually Hunter Zolomon, and he is pretending throughout the whole season, which the characters don't know, by the way. Barry and the gang and his friends don't know, and it turns out to be a betrayal once again by the end of the season by Hunter Zolomon, but they don't find that out till like the middle second half of the season. And this is also when Cisco gets his powers. Cisco gets his powers based off of an encounter of these different items that he touches and he doesn't know what is going on. And, eventually he'll call himself The Vibe, which is an interesting nickname, being able to a little bit see the future and shoot portals breaches out of his hands and whatnot, and eventually gets a cool suit, but that's not now. That's more later on towards the end of the season, or even the beginning of season 3. But along with season 2, he encounters new allies like Jesse, Wally West, and keep in mind Wally West, you see glimpses and traces of Wally West, and here's the thing, there was a little bit of a controversy, the fact that he's African American, and that's not a problem. In a different comic, in a different universe with the Flash, Wally West is African American, but in other ones he is white, more of a ginger hair type hero with more of a whitish silver suit, or he could be portrayed with the famous yellow suit also. Kid Flash, eventually turns into the Flash, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Kid Flash is what he will eventually become, as we all know Wally West, but Wally West is kind of like a bitch. He's kind of like a whiny, doesn't know what he's doing. He wants to go fast, but he doesn't know his purpose in life, and he's trying to save his mother. During season 2, he's worried about his mother being sick a lot and stuff like that, and that is a big thing. And people are trying to give Wally West advice on how to live and how to do this the right way and stop being such an asshole, pretty much. Stop being so troubled, pretty much. And that's kind of how that story goes. And, Keenan Lonsdale, he's become a better actor. He's not a great actor, but he's working his way to the top with that. And I like that. He shows great effort, and it's gotten better. And that's how season 2 has been. That's how season 2 went. with the Wally West and his character, always fighting upon Joe West and Iris and saying, "Oh, I'll do this, but nah, I won't do this. You know what? I know this. You know, a lot of like." He's too cocky, but he's really driven to help. When he sets his mind to something, he can eventually do it. That's kind of the adamant, like that's kind of the attitude that you really see within Wally. And then there's this girl named Jessie. Jessie is trapped by Zoom on Earth 2, and Zoom has taken over Earth 2, and now he wants to take over all the Earths and become the fastest there is. And to do that, he kicks the shit out of Barry Allen. He kicks the shit out of Barry Allen, breaks his back a little bit before he becomes the Flash and gets better, and blah blah blah. You know, you fast forward a little bit in a time machine. You get the crossover, and this time you have some people from DC's Legends of Tomorrow, I think. If not, you definitely have Hawk Girl in there. I think you do. We have Hawk Girl in there and Hawkman. And they're at the same time they're trying to stop. Oh man, I forgot his name. It starts with a V, but I forgot the main villain's name in the crossover. But by the end of the crossover, he has to go back in time, and that's causing a problem also. That caused a problem. And eventually, you know, because it gets closer to season 3, which already has passed. Speaking of season 2, we'll know more and more people affected by the particle accelerator, or the fact that Barry keeps trying to change the timeline to fix his mistakes. This is causing more mistakes. The best way to do it is not fuck up the timeline, Barry. That's what keeps happening. But as we advance through the season, they keep running into Zoom and finding different ways to do this and that. And Cisco keeps developing these little vibes that tell him what's this and what's that. And then Jay eventually dies. Jay, so-called, dies. But the real Jay is actually locked up next to Jesse, who will eventually become, you know, maybe something else. But Jesse is locked up also. And there's this dude in the metal mask. Who is this dude in the metal mask? Who is he? What does he want? What is his purpose? Nobody knows. It is a tremendous and exciting episode when we find that out. And it's the fact that it is Jay Garrick. The real Jay Garrick is the man in the metal mask. And that's what happens with that. There's a lot of fights that are encountered between the Flash and Zoom, along with Zoom hiring all these King Shark, these other different villains to try and take down the Flash because he wants his speed. But another main factor is who mainly stops King Shark at a certain episode. During the encounter of King Shark in his first tie-up, the Flash is kind of getting disgruntled a little bit, and also Barry Allen develops a little bit of a love story here. He's still not really with Iris yet. He's not at all with Iris. Even though, because Iris is trying to get over Eddie, and Eddie has died and passed away. So as he sacrificed himself to save the team from the last one, Eddie thawed, and that is what happened with that. Patty Pivot is a cop that also works with Joe West, but Barry is trying to keep his hero life a secret from Patty, and Patty catches on to that eventually, although she doesn't know that Barry is the Flash, and that line, that love story ends in a not a bad way, just kind of like a goodbye type way, because she will go on to a different school and go on and do bigger and better things. So she will move. She will go to, I think, college, a specific college, MCU or something like that. Or some special place she'll go to, I forgot. But she goes off and exits the show. And that is how that happens. And then along with doing so, that kind of throws Barry's love life in circle and off again. So that is what happened with that. So while that's being driven out into the storyline, and this is all an effort to protect. But Barry goes on, and then obviously, who's Jesse? That's Harrison Wells comes back Harrison Wells, or does he? Harrison Wells is back, but he's Earth 2 Harrison Wells. There's more than just one Earth. Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth 4. There's all the way up to 52, 53, possibly. Even a fucking Earth 0. But, there's all these different Earths, and Earth 2 is where it is taken over and Jesse is trapped. And obviously, go figure, Harrison Wells is helping Zoom steal his speed because he's trying to save Jesse. We find this out, but Team Flash does not find this out. And then afterwards, guess what? Boom, boom. There's a betrayal. And now they feel hurt, and now they will lock him up. And eventually, he does help them out and stop Zoom. They ultimately come up with a trap later in the season. Obviously, after that fantastic Supergirl, Arrow, Flash crossover and whatnot, and that takes place. And we even find out more about Oliver Queen, and we find out more about Melissa Benoist's character, Supergirl, and Kara, and that is actually a good episode. Good crossover this year, just to add the very least this year. And now all in season 2, it's actually wrapping up to be something special. It just started off slow. It had a real like a remorse feeling of this season is gonna suck. It wasn't the greatest season, but this season was actually a lot better in my opinion than season 1 because it had a lot more elements. It had a lot more altitude to what the possibilities of what can happen in the Flash Central City universe and stuff like that. So kind of fast forwarding to the end and summing everything up a little bit, we see that Barry Allen is going to have the race of his life. But before that, he loses his powers because he gives them to Zoom. You dumbass, you gave your powers to Zoom. But obviously there was an ultimatum, this or that. That kind of puts you in a tough position, so I don't blame him. Everybody wants to say, don't do this, don't do that, you're a fucking idiot. He gave up his powers to help. We all would have done the same thing. Like, come on. But then you outsmart Zoom in the end, and you beat him in the race of his life. But to get his powers back, he would have to recreate the particle accelerator, is what they turn out to do. And they do that. But I honestly thought that Barry died. I mean, I thought Barry died, and it would be something else, and Wally West would step up magically. Because Wally was kind of there, and Jessie was kind of there. They saved her, and then she gets kidnapped again, and all that type of stuff. You know, that back and forth type stuff that makes an episode good, or episodes or a season really good. That is what initially happened. So while doing so, boom, they recreate the particle accelerator. Zoom got threatened because they thought he was going to get his speed back. But they actually, boom, poof, into the Speed Force. And now he's trying to beat the Speed Force because it portrays your mind. The Speed Force is not a person. It is an electronic phenom that really is inspired by the world as you see it. And the Speed Force is the speed that you have of what you carry and everything around you. And then that gives you your powers. And that's obviously how speedsters, most of them, for the most part, get their powers. So he gets his powers back. He comes across, as you guys have seen this, hopefully you've seen it, spoiler alert, this whole episode is spoiling, but he gets his powers back, and then he has the race of his life and say, let's go stop Zoom. And then they honestly get to the point where let's plan it out, let's do this, A, B, C. And they really set up like a race. The fastest will win. Who's the best? You do that, you win, you get this, I win, you get this. And boom, the Speed Force, he accidentally creates, it's like a reflection of himself, like an extra of himself. I forgot what the ability is called, so I apologize for that. But he recreates two flashes, and one is actually legit, but that causes another singularity to happen, of which we will not find out till season 3. And it plays a big part in season 3, and it will cause a specific event to happen in season 3 by doing this race. But it also stops Zoom, and then the Speed Force demons, or ghosts. I keep forgetting all these names, but they come out and they sweep Zoom off, and then they destroy him, and you actually see a hint of the Red Flash come out. The Red Flash is taking over, Zoom is gone, he is dead, bye-bye. And that is kind of what happens with that. And then it is nice because he stopped all that from happening. But in the meantime, it's kind of funny. We find out who the man in the metal mask is. It is the real Jay Garrick. But the funny thing is, Jay Garrick looks in this, the real one looks like Henry Allen. the father, and this was done on purpose by the portrayal of CW in the DCEU and the CW series. So he looks like Henry Allen, and it kind of brings, I love this. I love how they do this, and it brings like a mind twist. Like, how can you have this and this at the same time? It's a wonderful twist, and it really, everything that happens every season, I've had a couple things that make me just jump off my seat, and it's incredible. And it's a wonderful feeling if you're a big fan of this type of hero shit. And, but he looks alike, but guess what? Obviously, how could they look alike if there's Henry Allen? Henry Allen died. To prove a point, zoom super fast, right in through the heart of Henry Allen, right in front of Barry's face, and killed his dad. Now he is parentless. And now that would cause the race to happen, and the fight, and the final showdown, and that is how that happens. And the season will conclude with Barry, obvious, guess what? Going back in time traveling back and forth to stop some of this from happening. As he said, he would not do that. And at the end of the season, we see a nice little love story to start again between Iris and Barry Allen. That is what happens in a nutshell. Aside from all those main points, a lot of other villains, a lot of great stuff, a lot of allies have gained, and we even see developing stories within Arrow, Supergirl, and more. So that pretty much sums this up. I want to thank you guys for watching this. That is a nutshell of everything. Trying to keep these videos short. I want to thank you guys for watching this. Views, like it up, thumbs up, flex it out, whatever you guys do, and all things justice. We will continue back here with season 3 of The Flash review. If you guys liked it or any suggestions, comments, pop it in the drop box. I'll check it out for those of you guys that like to type it up. We'll be back. Stay tuned. And I'll probably get some other reviews going after we finish off The Flash. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. See you next time.